let's just start with what Priti Patel has said. She said, our job is to keep the country safe. We don't need people who have done harm and left our country to be part of a death cult and to perpetrate the ideology. I'm simply not willing to allow anybody who's been an active supporter or campaigner for ISIS in this country. So she is absolutely adamant that she has made a bed, Shamima, and she can't come back.
Well, we have to remember she was a 15-year-old child. We know that the police were aware that she was being groomed, the counter-terrorism command police. We knew the school, we knew that the Tower Hamlets Council were aware. None of those organisations shared that information with her parents. So
they've denied that, haven't they? They've said that actually they've been given an exemplary record for their integration and that they've been doing a lot of work to observe these. But their point is they don't want to criminalise youngsters until they know what they're up to. And it was only when she fled, and then their concern was for safety.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with their analysis, because
No.
I think the reality was that having spoken directly with the families had asked me to come in and speak on their behalf. The families have said that they were unaware what was happening. And in fact, the police actually gave a letter to the girls saying that they were concerned about them being radicalised, which was found in the girls' school bag. So I think the reality is we failed them when they were 15-year-old children. Mm-hmm. And I think now, in international law, you can't make somebody stateless. And effectively, Bangladesh says she's never been to Bangladesh. She doesn't speak Bengali.
So there was a hope, wasn't there, that I thought that she would get Bangladeshi citizenship so she could go there. However, they've said that's not going to happen. Yeah.
And I think Priti Patel is wrong, and I think the tribunal will find against her. And I think what we will find is that we will have a international duty to ensure that she is given the opportunity to come back to this country. And if she's committed criminal offences, she should be tried and should be brought through the criminal processes. But we also have a responsibility, given that she was groomed on our watch.
I mean, Chris, you're shaking your head. I know you disagree with this, but I suppose whatever went wrong, whoever is to blame for that, some people might say it was the family's fault for not keeping a closer on their children. There's all sorts of areas we can blame. But there was a failing, because a UK citizen went out at the age of 15 and found herself in this place. Do we not want to get her back, to understand how that could happen, to make sure it doesn't happen again, and to give her a chance to change and become what you might describe a good citizen?
It's always very easy to throw the blame back on the state. This is a girl that made a positive decision to go and do this. She's not 15 now. She's 19, maybe 20. The TV interview that we've seen with her, she's only showing remorse because she wants to come back to the UK. And I think Del knows as well as I do that if she comes back to the UK, she's not going to be tried, because there won't be a lot of evidence against her that's going to be admissible in a British court. So we are going to release her back into the streets. And I say this to the people that are so keen on having these people back into the UK. Let them live next door to you. If you want them to reintegrate into society, come and let them live in your house. You don't want that.
Chris, there's no evidence that she was involved in any of the murders. That's incorrect.
So she won't face trial then, will she?
Then will. I think if there are any legal, if she's committed any offences, that needs to be scrutinised.
But for some people, merely joining an organisation like ISIS is an offence. It's an organisation that stands for everything that we hold dear.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I mean, I don't think anybody can defend ISIS. It's a murderous regime. But we have to take responsibility of what happens to 15, and some of her friends were 14, who went there. What were we doing? And what the lessons to learn? What will happen in sort of 3 or 4 years' time? What other groups will try and influence our young people and try them to get them involved in murderous organisations?
It's an important point, Chris, isn't it? 15 is no age. When you think about how much we all grow up between 15 and 19 and the decisions you make at 15, you look back and when you're 19, you think, for heaven's sake, what on earth was I thinking? She's been through an extraordinary experience, one which I don't doubt for a minute has been horrific along the way, in many ways, not least because we know she's lost children, which is heartbreaking for her and for her family as well. And actually, as Kate said, is one of the key things. If we do get her back, we can understand the process she went through so we can protect young girls or young, sort of easily influenced people from being in that situation again. Things might have happened to her that she could shed a light on that the security forces don't know, and they could identify and then close that gap.
This point that 15-year-olds don't know what they're doing, don't understand. A couple of weeks ago, we were listening to a girl who was telling us the world's going to end in a couple of weeks.
Greta Thunberg.
Yes, we've got to... Let's have some realism about it here. She's 15. She lives lived in the East End of London. She knew what she was doing.
Well, you say that, but even now do we know what she thinks? She's being held in a refugee camp inside Syria, which is riddled with people who, if she says the wrong thing...
We don't know what
and
pressure she's under
expresses
still,
too
yeah.
much remorse, she might be killed.
Yeah, and to argue against myself, there are a lot of these fighters that have come back to the West. And we do have to find some way of dealing with them. But to say that she's going to come back and go before a court and be prosecuted and possibly... We know that's not the case. We know that our justice system won't work to her benefit. Well, it'll work to her benefit, not to everyone else's benefit. And I think we've got to be realistic. If you want to bring these people back, they're going to live somewhere. As long as you're happy for them to live next door to you, then bring them all back.
But what we're seeing in the Middle East is the rule of law, the fragile rule of law, is a bit disintegrating with issues around Turkey incursion into Syria. So all these people are going to be free, or potentially free. So do we ensure that we do something to make sure that they are not going to cause us damage, or are they going to be allowed to disappear and then come back and cause us great harm?
Who knows what happens then? OK, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you very much. Good to see you, Chris. Thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us this morning.